Hello and welcome to my advanced AI blueprint for Unreal Engine. So here is what my AI can do. They can roam, they can jump off the platform, they free roam, and upon sight they will follow you. Let's get on to work. Okay, so this guy's following me. It's kind of buggy because this other AI is getting in the way of this old one. Here we go. So there you go. This one was following me. There you go. They only follow for a certain amount of time because I wanted to make sure that they go roaming afterwards. Um, I can work on that to make it not so like instant, make it a bit more random, and after they've gone to a certain extent. But I actually have the feature of them following me and then giving up, which is quite useful. I've then worked. They do this based on like sight and sound, shall I say? Then I also have this, which is a projectile I can throw with Q, and then if any of these AI hear it, they will go towards it to investigate, which is quite interesting. It's quite simple. It's just a projectile that I can fire, and then they detect the noise and go after it. So I've got noise sensing, sight sensing, following, jumping, free roaming, and just following a routine and going back to it when a certain process can't be followed. So how did I do all of this? Here's enemy attempt 3. This took me a few attempts. There were multiple enemies, but let's go through step by step what I did, and I'll explain each section. So is this? So this is just it changing state on alert state. Do once change, but this one didn't really work. So this is for the random roaming. Okay, so the enemy, this is the enemy that we are in right now, the enemy's blueprint, sorry. It'll target itself, it'll get a random reachable point from origin to random location. The AI will move to this random destination and the pawn is itself, so itself will move to a random destination. Then on successive moving to a random destination, it will investigate, which is something that I set up, which was basically just like walking around and going to different locations. However, upon failure, it will go to the random room. The AI move to will also just go to random room. So what this does, so basically you get the actor of the enemy, or the AI, should I say. It gets itself, it'll move to a random location, random room, and I've set that up so it's a certain area within its radius. It'll move to that, then it'll stop, it'll move to another, and then this is tying in the throwing of the object and then investigating. So that's basically if they can't randomly move, they'll do the investigate first, and then they'll go back to randomly moving. And then because I created random roam as an event, and then I had random roam somewhere else, upon event begin play, so as soon as I open the game, they will start random roam, which is basically this here. Okay, so then further down here we've got some more blueprints. So on target perception updated, so if their line of sight is updated with a cast to the player character, which is me, the player character, so if their sight is updated with me, essentially, on true, they will investigate, which basically means they'll come after me. That's how they follow me. And then, investigate, which is follows into move to. So they themselves will move towards me. On success, they'll wait 0.2 seconds before carrying out random roam again. So I could up this timer, and this will basically just mean that they'll follow me for longer before they go back to their random roam. I didn't want to mess with this too much. I just want to be able to show that it's something that can happen, as this is more of a AI showcase rather than a game showcase. This is just me working on AI. This here is the stimulus. The stimulus destination is just linking back to the player character. So when they have successfully sensed the player character, they will go to the location of the player character. That's where they move to. And then down here, on seeing a pawn, that's the player character, they will do these actions in this order. They will, if they can see the player character ticked, they themselves will move to that character. Then they'll wait a second. So all this does, this little blueprint here, is if they can't see me, they'll wait a second and just try this again. This just basically lets the whole thing loop so they aren't stuck. Because otherwise, without this, if they couldn't see me, they just would stop and not try to look for me again. And here is our player, not our player character, our enemy character. They have AI perception and pawn sensing. So pawn sensing lets them see and hear, which allows the distraction and the sight of me to work. And the perception is basically just like the field that they can do it in, that they can sense in. So yeah, as you can see, the hearing range is 3000. They can detect enemies, neutrals, and friendlies, and it's just that stuff basically. If we go into the enemy hearing blackboard, this is just a few things that can now be put into blueprints. We've got patrol location, target actor, that they didn't need to be there, and self actor. So basically this was just for one attempt I did on patrol location. So what I was trying to do here was basically make it, because I've not worked with blackboards or trees before this project. So what I was trying to do here was get it so they would get the location, which is random point navigable radius. So they would look in their local radius that has been set for them. They would find a random point. They'd set that value. They'd go to that value, and then that was a different way I had the roaming happen. We've got a enemy controller here, or a AI controller, sorry, but I've called it enemy controller. So event begin play runs the behavior tree. I'll get to the behavior tree in a second, and when their perception's updated, they can do the stuff with the blackboard, which was the old way I did of getting location, but this interfered it interfered with the hearing. The hearing wasn't working when I did it this way. But if we look at the tree, so we start here and trees go from left to right. So we go here, it selects. If they have a target, they will attack. Attack is just moving towards. So they'll wait, then they'll move, and then they'll wait, and then they'll move. And then the second thing from the selector is their patrol sequence. So they'll wait for a second, get a location, move to that location, wait a second, then start again. Wait a second, get the location, move. So essentially what this does is, if they can see the target actor, which is the player, me, they will wait and move. However, if they don't, they'll wait, move, get a random location, move, and then wait. So this is the random roam, this is the attacking. Alert interface, yeah. So then we go into the distraction. The distraction, I got a royalty-free sound that was able to be used in any project, commercial or non-commercial. Turned it into this audio here, which is that thud noise. Then I just got a random shape from the starter materials, and I gave it a small blueprint. So upon event hit, if true, one time it will play the sound at the location, and then it will report this noise event. The reason I have to make sure that it only plays once is otherwise every time it bounces or every time a AI or my player character walks over it, it will play the noise over and over again, which will keep re-triggering the AI, and basically they would just get stuck on the one object as it would hit the ground, they'd go to their noise, then they'd walk into it, creating another noise, and they'd get stuck in a loop. So by making it go once, they will only go for the first time, and the object will be silent after that. It's not overly accurate, but this is a good way around making it so that they don't get stuck. This here basically is just the it's coming from the player character, and then they'll get the projectile comes from the player character, and it'll get the location of itself, and that's where it plays the noise when it lands. If you look in the viewport, it's simply just a small shape with a bit of a texture on it. I just made this so it looks different and it doesn't kind of get lost. Then what we'll do is we'll go into the player character. So player character has a few added blueprints here, just to make sure that everything worked fine. So one, I had to go up into edit and basically make a new keybind for Q to throw the projectile, which was the distraction. So when that button was pressed, it'll be thrown from the world location of a certain object, which I will show you. This object is this sphere here. This sphere I made completely invisible. It has no physics. It just floats there, and you can't see it. So it's hidden in game, basically. So that means that you can't see it. It won't cast a shadow. It won't fall. It's always just stuck floating in front of you, and no matter what you do, you will not see it, and it will not interfere with the game. So from that object, it will throw or spawn the projectile, and it'll get the location, get the direction, and it'll throw it at this velocity, which is this here. A few things to keep keep informed upon are the rotation and velocity and direction, as otherwise it would spin around, it would be inconsistent in how it's thrown. Sometimes it wouldn't even be thrown that high or that far. It might just drop in front of you. So for consistency's sake, I made it always throw at the same rotation, speed, and direction. The direction being directly forward, from your viewpoint, sorry. The velocity always being 1500, as this was just an appropriate speed. It wasn't too fast, but it wasn't too slow either. And the rotation just meant that it always came out straight, so it can hit the walls or surfaces without just missing entirely, because it's like spinning around. So from that, there we go. And then in here is what the first enemy looked like. This is what this is the sort of thing that I made before this project, and there are a few things here that really didn't work. The roaming blueprint didn't work at all, and I forgot to remove it before re-adding it again for the video purpose, because my first video broke. But this was the first enemy. This is the sort of thing that I used in my small game projects before making these AI here. Just A-posing, it's not even looking the right way, it has no deactivation or activation condition, it'll just always follow me, regardless of whether it can see or hear me. It can't jump off platforms, it just floats at you, and that is it. Obviously, for these AI to be able to detect me, I have set up a nav mesh. What the nav mesh is basically an area in which their actions can be carried out. It's a navigation mesh. So in the nav mesh, that is their area of play, effectively. So if I were to shrink the nav mesh so this AI here, for example, wasn't inside of it, then it wouldn't be able to work because it's not inside the nav mesh. Also, yeah, this is something I forgot to mention. I made their view cone really wide because when I was messing around with it, because I wanted them to chase me on sight, a lot of the time you could just run past them and they'd stop following you instantly, which I didn't like. So I made it really wide and just in front of them. So if you are anywhere near them, they will see you and come right for you. And then here we have some Navlink proxies. Not that one, this one. Basically, this means that if the AI walks here, it will know that this is a route it can take. Because without the Navlink proxies, they can't leave the platforms. So I've set up quite a few Navlink proxies like here. And it's basically saying, if it's around this location, it can now go off of that location to meet this bottom one here from this one. So yeah, just to show you everything again, here are all my AI roaming around. They can jump around, they can follow you when they see you, if they see you. That one didn't see me. Here we go. One that actually spotted me. And then he's given up after 0.5 seconds, and now he's redoing the random roam. Then he's going to wait and get a new location. And then going to wait and get a new location. And then if I press Q, I actually hit the AI, so they move towards the AI that time. But now they'll move there, and then they'll move over here after chasing me. And yeah, you can have a delay between how many you throw, but as this is just a testing ground and getting used to new mechanics, there wasn't really a need for that.